morning, Victory. It is great to have you with us today, whether you are here in person, and it is so nice to see your faces, or you are online streaming this. I got to sneak in earlier and say hi, just chatting, but hi in person now as well. Thank you for making us part of your day and gathering with us in sort of this new hybrid model, right, that we're doing with church. That's kind of the education buzzword right now, is everything's a hybrid. So we're hybriding here as well. But it is good to see you and to be seen. We are continuing our series on David, and we're going to talk about a story of David that actually is at the end of 2 Samuel. And it's not, it's kind of chronologically out of order. The original story, as you read through David, he kind of gives his last words. And then you move to these stories at the end about David and his mighty men. And this is a group of guys that were loyal to David, that came around David and helped him out, that fought for him. They were the ones that he could trust and the ones that went to battle. And there's all kinds of different cool stories. I mean, if you just want to read through some just cool battle stories, if that's your thing, there's some amazing stories as these guys fight. You know, one of them, as he's holding a sword so hard and so long, as he's, slicing and dicing, that it like molds to his hand, right? It almost melds to him, and he can't let go of it. It just sort of becomes a part of him. It says he cleaves to it. There's a story of a guy who puts a spear through, I don't know, something like 42 Philistines. There's just all these stories of these battles and these guys who step up and just want to be a part of David's life and help him fulfill his mission. And the story that we're going to talk about today is the first of those stories, right? It's the first of these stories that sort of explains who these men are and sort of sets the tone for the type of things they do. And so to set it up, David is fighting against the Philistines, which is a pretty normal occurrence if you read the story or listen to the story of David at all. The Philistines are sort of the Lex Luthor to his Superman, right? It's sort of this constant battle. Sometimes the Philistines are doing well and winning. Sometimes David and the Israelites are winning. But it's just this back and forth. And what has happened is the Philistines are now, they sort of have him blocked off. He's in a cave. He's sort of garrisoned in there. He's got a fortress in this cave, and they are out, and they have camped at Bethlehem, which is David's hometown, right? So they're sort of thumbing their nose at David a little extra, right? Not only are we here and we've got you blocked and we're fighting you, but we have taken over your hometown. And he's been fighting for a long time. He's been on the run from them for a long time. And so he's tired and he's thirsty, right? And if you open up your bulletins, there should be a slip of paper in there that sort of explains the passage. You can read through it there. You can open up your Bibles. If you're online, use your phone or use your web browser to open up. And this is what it says in 2 Samuel 20. This is what it reads. During harvest time, 3 of the chief warriors, so 3 of the 30, came down to David at the cave at Adullam, and a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. And at this time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. And David longed for water. And he said, "Oh, that someone would give me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the 3 mighty warriors broke through the Philistine lines, and they drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and they carried it back to David. But he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out before the Lord, saying, "Far be it from me, Lord, to do this. Is this not the blood of the men who went and risked their lives?" And David would not drink it. Now, I don't know, maybe you are this. We'll ask a question, right, real quick. We're all friends here, right, at Victory. And I'll ask a question. You can kind of help me out. If online, you can type it in. How many of you would consider yourself sort of a gift giver, right? You enjoy giving them. You're good at giving them. You like receiving them. It's sort of your love language, if you will. You like, raise your hand if you're a gift person. There's a few. These are the ones I want to become friends with. All right, I see. All right, gift people. How many of you are maybe more like me, and you don't think in terms of gifts? Like they're fine, you like them, but like you don't like think of, oh, that special thing you could go and give someone and it just means a lot. Like, raise your hand if you're like more like, some of you that, some of you are neither of those. You just don't think about it. Okay, that's fine. I don't think about gifts. Like it's not something that I like strive for. Like I'm a words of affirmation person, right? If you just, clap for me and tell me how good I did, I'll do anything you want, right? Like that's pretty much, Cher's figured that out. Like, Aaron, you're the wonderful husband. What do you want me to carry? That's, right? And so that's mine. Gifts isn't, I just don't think in those terms, and I'm not great at them, right? And for instance, we were registering when we were married, and we were registering for gifts, right, for our wedding. And if you got married a long time ago, they probably didn't have this. If you got married more recently, or you're gonna get married soon, you get this little like scanner gun thing, and you go through the store and you decide what you want, and it's like boop, right, and it goes on the electronic. So Shara, who is practically perfect in every way. You guys know that, right? She Mary Poppins looks up to Shara, right? Okay, as a hero, right? And so Shara, like, she knows what we need, and she's like, oh, those plates, or that's or china, that we're never gonna use, ever, and so right, we have these things she's buying and she's going through, and she was thinking of gifts that were practical, and she's like, oh, I hope someone gets us that. I'll love it, and I'll be like, that's great. And so I was going through the store, and it looked more like this. Like I was like, oh man, it's like a small dog Snuggie. We need that. She's like, we don't have a dog. We might, and if we were to get one, now it's got a Snuggie. Look, a matching set for us. Have you seen those things? You put your arms in. And so like I was just anything that I thought was fun was going on the list, and I'm sure she went online like when I wasn't looking. It was like, we're not getting that. We're not getting that. But like I just don't think in terms of gifts, and so Shara has learned this about me. And so to continue to make our marriage work properly and in a healthy way, like when it's the occasion for gift giving or some sort of celebration, she will come to me and say, Aaron, I would like these sorts of things. Right? Yeah, makes sense. Some of you are like, oh, that's genius. Can I do that? Listen, I want to free you today, okay? I'm going to help your marriage right now. If you didn't tell the person what you wanted and you didn't get what you wanted, that's not their fault. Just tell them. Like if you're anything like me, they will thank you. You want me to get you that? Okay, here you go. Have a gift. Be happy, and life goes on. And so Shara, when it's Christmas, gives me sort of the list of things that she may desire. And she gives me a large list so that I can feel like I'm picking some things. And of course, I go off script too. But so one particular day for Christmas, she says, what I would like is a pair of pink Converse All-Stars, which sounds easy enough, right? And so I, like others, perhaps in my gender, waited until about 2 days before Christmas to go shopping. And yeah, right? And I get in there, and it is a madhouse, right? This was before like physical distancing rules, so everyone is like up in everyone else's business, and I know where I need to go. I know where the store is. So I am like, it is battle time, right? I am elbowing elderly ladies and kicking over small children, to get. Okay, I didn't kick over any children, all right? But the old lady deserved it, all right? And so, no, I'm kidding. I didn't do that either. I didn't, right? But but it's battle time, and I'm going to the store, and I'm just trying to get out of the way, I'm going for my wife, and I get there, and I move, people out of the way, and I'm at the shoe rack of Converse All-Stars in pink, and you would think, you would think, if you're anything like me, that this is an obvious, you just show up and there's like right in the middle, there's gray and there's black and there's red and there's blue and there's pink. This is not the case. There are like 42 and a half shades of pink Converse All-Stars. And I'm looking at them, and I must have looked lost and confused because the lady comes over to me and she's like, can I help you? And I'm like, my wife wants pink Converse All-Stars. And she's like, what kind? And I'm like, pink. And she goes on to explain that there's mauve pink, and there's baby pink, and there's dark pink, and there's light pink, and there's all these other pinks. And I'm like, which one would you think? You know? And she's like, she leaves. I don't have time to deal with this person mumbling something about me being hopeless. All right, so I pick the shoe, right? I go home, and I open up the boxes, because what I do so that Shara doesn't think I shop late is I wrap empty boxes and put them under the tree. And then when it's time to put a gift in them, I just take one out and I unwrap it and I put the gift in and then I put it back. She thinks it's been there for a week. She thinks I'm a great shopper, right? And so I do that, and then the day comes. And we're going to do the gift exchange. I'm so excited. I can't wait for her to open up what I bought her. And so she goes through the first couple, and she gets it. I'm ready. And she opens up the box, right? And she opens it. And again, like I've told you guys, there's a lot of stuff that Shara does that is awesome. Okay? She is perfect. One thing that she does not awesome is hide her emotional status. All right? Like, Shara feels, and immediately it just, like, if you want to win a lot of money, play poker against Shara. Okay? Like, she can't bluff. She's got a good hand. She's very happy. She's got a bad hand. She's crying. It's just not going to work. Right? Shara has no, and so she opens up the box, and she looks at it, and she goes, oh. And I'm like, what do you mean, oh? She's like, these are nice. That is not what I expected for the battle that I had with the elderly lady to get these shoes, all right? Like, I wanted, again, clap for me, tell me how good I did, I'll go again. And I go, what's wrong? And she goes, well, they're pink-ish. I was livid, right? I don't do well because, you know, like when we give gifts to people, we don't give them so they like them, we give them so we feel better, right? And so I'm like, how could you not like my gift? I worked so hard for it. And it felt like everything that I had done for her, right? All this work that I had done, I just do it, right? That she had just been like, and thrown it to the side. I think, right, if we're honest with ourselves, there are simply times in our life that we feel like that. That we feel like we've done something, or we've worked hard, or we've tried hard, or we've done our best. And it simply isn't accepted, or things still aren't going well. And whenever I read this story that we just read, the story of Shara and I is what comes to mind every time. Right? Because can you see the setting for a second? David's hanging out. He's sort of fortified. He's tired. He's been in battle. He's been working hard. He's fighting against the Philistines. And he's so tired. He's so worn out. He's so just battle worn that he says, man, I just want a drink of water from my hometown. Like, do you ever just get that nostalgic feel for home? Like, there's just something about it. Man, I just wish I could. Now, I don't know how bad off you have to be that, like, your one comfort is a glass of water from home. Maybe that's because, like, my hometown, our water was horrible, right? You could chew it while you drank it. There was so much iron in it. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But David, he wants water from his hometown. And the Philistines have, right, taken it over. And so these mighty men, his warriors, his battles, he doesn't even ask for it. He doesn't say go. He doesn't tell them to go get it. They hear him say he wants water. And what do? They run for it. Like, I just get this image, right? Like, David's like talking to everybody like, oh man, there's this great well right at the gate. It's so good. I wish I could have water. And he turns around. He's like, guys, you know, and they've got their swords out, and you got 3 dudes running towards like 100 Philistines, right? And they do not care, right? They are going. I mean, and can you just see? I mean, they're going, and they've got their swords, and they've got their spears and their shields, and this is like a Lord of the Rings type battle in my mind, right? They're just slicing and dicing, and they're kicking guys out of the way, and they're throwing elbows. And then if you know anything about battle, especially during that time, water was extremely important. So probably there was a stronger force around the well trying to protect the water. So these guys, then they go to the well, and again, they're battling, and they're kicking, and they're fighting, and they're beating, you know, and they're just slicing and dicing, and they're killing Philistines. They get to the well, and they have a jug or some sort of carrying, and they get the water. And now they've got to run back to David, right, with the water without spilling it. right? And if you're anything like me, like I can't carry a pot from the sink to the stove without spilling it, right? And they're not just, they're fighting, right? They have a jug of water in one hand, a sword in the other, and they're fighting their way back, and they're kicking Philistines. And I just get this image, right? They're walking up, right, to where David's at. Did you see me kill that guy? You know, dude, I got the water. I didn't spill anything. You know, they cannot wait to see David's reaction to what they've done. They are giving him exactly what he wanted, exactly what he asked for. He's tired, and they're loyal, and they love him. And they've done the right thing with this motivation of serving him and serving God with him. And they bring it to him, and they go, David, man, we heard you ask for water, and man, we fought through hundreds of Philistines, and he killed 15 by himself. We didn't spill any of it, right? And they give it to David, and I got to think they're pretty tired. Right? Maybe they're a little bit thirsty. Like in my head, I'm going to guess they're not only hoping that he drinks it, but maybe he gives them whatever's left over so they can drink it. You know, and they hand it to him, and David's like, oh, guys, this is awesome. He pours it out. Now listen, biblically, they don't tell us what those guys' response was. But I can guess, right? Because I know what went through my head when Cheryl went, on my gift. Like this is what you wanted, David. And he pours it out. I think we've all been in that moment when we have served, and we have tried, and we have worked, and we have done everything we can. And it feels like the world or the people around us are simply pouring out what we've given them. And it's exhausting. I'll just be honest, the first time I ever read this story and heard it, I was like, David is a jerk. Like, what a punk. They gave everything for you. They risked their life. You're not even going to drink it? Here's a truth that we have to be reminded of. We are not responsible for the reactions of the people around us. We are not responsible always for the results that we desire. See, I think sometimes we get in this trap that we think if we do things the right way, right? That if we make the right choices and we do it with the right motivation, that God is simply going to bless it and everything's going to be okay. And then what happens is because we have that expectation, when trouble comes or things go poorly, we feel betrayed, we feel upset, we feel angry that the end result wasn't what we wanted. You see, what we fail to realize is that we are only responsible for the process, not for the product. And if the product isn't what we want, we start to question why we did it at all. I see this sometimes. Couples will come to me and they'll be having some sort of marital trouble or strife, and they'll be like, I don't understand. We were Christians and we got married at the right time and with the right motivations and we did all this stuff, and now we're having trouble. What is wrong? Why isn't God blessing? And we think that somehow if we just do things the right way, that as long as we follow the rules, that God, we sort of twist his arm into making him bless us. That we will prosper simply because we follow the rules. And here's what I found. Here's what we are responsible for: doing the right things the right way for the right reasons, and then allowing a sovereign God to deal with the results. And man, this can wear us out. Because someplace back in the back of our heads, there's this voice that's telling us, they don't even see you. Right, you're doing your things, you're working hard, they don't even notice. And the ones that do notice, they don't care. And if they do care, it's only because they're angry with you. And we start to allow ourselves to be overcome with evil because we don't understand the way this is supposed to work. And in Romans, this is what we're told, right? In Romans 12:21, we're told, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Or if I can phrase it the way I have this time, don't allow evil to overcome the way you do things. Do things the right way for the right reasons. Do the right thing the right way for the right reasons. Do the good in the world and don't allow evil to overcome you. Because the moment we start thinking about the results and the moment we start caring more about what the people are thinking, we start to fall into that trap of allowing our adversary, allowing evil to just totally envelop us. And then we get discouraged and we get frustrated, and then we stop doing the things that we know we're supposed to be doing. And it wears us out. And we're frustrated and we're angry, right? Because we hear things like, thanks for cooking, Mom. Or I appreciate that you got that for me, guys. Or your coworkers or your boss doesn't see the time and the effort that you're putting in to get done what's getting done. Or your spouse or your kids. And what happens is we get so tied to the reactions and the results that we never get what we want. And it starts to make us think that doing the right thing the right way for the right reasons isn't worth it. And the way that we have to combat that is starting to realize that we don't do the things that we do simply for the people around us. That our reason has to be larger than that. It has to be bigger than that. It has to be grander and better than that. This is what Colossians tells us in Colossians 3:17, right? It says, and whatever you do, so anything you do, whether in word or in deed, and I would add your thoughts, right? So whatever you think, whatever you speak, however you act, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. What is it saying? It says that every action that we can perform, we're not doing it just for the people around us, right? We're doing it as an act of worship towards God. Now, here's how this plays out in our lives. Now, listen, I really like most of you. I do. You're genuinely and generally kind, loving, good-looking people as I look around, I like it. I said I'm a words of affirmation guy. I like it when I say or do something and it works and you guys are excited and clap. It's a good thing. I love it. But here's what I can promise you. If you haven't experienced this, you haven't been around me long enough. I will do or say something that either disappoints you or makes you angry. For some of you, I've already done it 3 or 4 times just today, right? I've seen the looks on your faces. It will happen. And if I get all of my value and I get all of my worth based on how you're responding or the end result of what I'm doing, I am up and I am down and I am left, I am right, and I am happy and I am sad. And I can never find a baseline and I can never do what I'm supposed to do. And here's what I have to tell you. As much as I like you guys, as much as I love you guys, as much as my ministry is, hey, let's speak truth into people's lives and allow them to become a greater part of the Jesus way of life. The end result, not my job. My job is to do what I'm supposed to do, the right thing, for the right reasons, the right way, and to do it in a way that honors and worships my Creator. And if you don't like that, tough. Because I'm not doing it for you. I love you. I care for you. I want to see you enter in the Jesus way of life because I think it's the best way of life. I think it's the way you'll be most fulfilled and most happy. But there will simply be times that you do not agree with me. And that's okay. Because I need wrong people in my life. Just kidding, don't frown at me. Right? There are simply times where we have to not allow ourselves to be tethered, to be shackled, to be tied to the results or the reactions around us, but doing what we are doing because it's the right thing. Right? If you don't go to work just so you can work, just so you can get a promotion, just so you can get a better job, just so you can get more money. Now, listen, there's not wrong with any of those things. I think it's great. I think you should go work and work hard. And I hope you get a promotion and make more money so you can buy more food, so you can invite me over to eat. All right, I am good with all of those things. But if that's all you're worried about, for one, you've created an idol that will never satisfy you. And for two, what will happen is eventually it will disappoint you because you're not always going to get the results that you expect, or you're not always going to get the reactions that you desire. And what happens, we have to reframe that as saying, look, I'm here doing my job and I'm working hard and I'm doing the right thing the right way for the right reasons, but I'm not doing it just so I can get ahead. I am doing it because this job that I'm doing, this vocation that I've been called to, is my act of worship towards God, right? And when you're parenting, right? You're not you want your kids to but your kids aren't going to clap for you for everything you do, right? If you don't know that, you either haven't had a toddler or a teenager in your life at any point. It's simply not always going to be. Your spouse is not always going to love everything you do. But your responsibility isn't their reaction or the results around you. It's doing the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons. You say, Aaron, that sounds hard. It is. You see, the easy way is to cut corners. The easy way is to not do the right thing. The easy way is to have a wrong motivation and care more about the result than you do about the process. This is why we see it, right? This is why we see it in college sports. There's always some scandal happening where this person has given this money to a student he wasn't supposed to do, or they found out that the whole football team was taking underwater basket weaving for 16 credit hours, right? Like there's always something. The joke in Ohio at Ohio State is, how many Ohio State players does it take to screw in a light bulb? Just one, but they get a 5-hour class credit for it, right? Like right? It's easy to try to do things. It's easy for businessmen to try to cut the corners, right? To not report the way they're supposed to do or not act the way they're supposed to act. It's easy to do the wrong thing and then justify it by saying, but look at the end result. And if we care more about the results more about the product than we do the process, we will eventually fail. It will fall in on us. And God says, look, yes, it's tiring. And Paul recognized this. He knows that it's tiring. This is why he tells us in Galatians 6:9, he says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we don't give up. And this is a passage that I send to my friends. Some of you in this room have received this passage from me at different times, or I've said, look, you're doing the right thing the right way for the right reasons. And I know you're not getting the reactions or the results that you want, but don't grow tired because we serve a good and just God. And eventually, now listen, it doesn't mean in your lifetime. It doesn't mean this year. It doesn't mean next year. It could be decades from now. It could be centuries from now. But they're going to start to see the effects of the things that you did because God is going to play it out. But those results aren't your responsibility. And one of the reasons we get tired is because we start to think everything is on us. If we don't get the results that we want, we're angry and we're frustrated, right? Why didn't you drink the water, man? Why would you pour that out when I brought it to you? What do you mean these shoes aren't good enough? But when we start to turn that on its head, and we start to realize that our lives, right, that our lives are an act of worship to a God who loves us, to a God who always sees us, who notices us, who recognizes when we're doing the right things the right way for the right reasons, who sees us in our struggle. And he says, well done. I am pleased with you. It makes that struggle worth it. And he loves us so much that he models that for us in the cross, right? When we think about the cross, when we think about the crucifixion, we see Jesus living out a poured out life. knowing that he would be rejected, that he would be mocked, that he would be spit upon, knowing that there would be people that he loved dearly, that he was dying for, that would reject him anyway. It's going to happen. And yet he loves, does the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons. So we're going to take communion together. Hopefully both here and online if you have your stuff. We have a little cup here, and if you bend it, you'll see there's two flaps, and you can open up that top one and you find a bread-esque material here. And as we prepare to take this together, I want you to think about this sort of lived out, this poured out life that we see from Jesus. Right? The brokenness that he experiences. And so we find ourselves in the upper room as this night that he's betrayed by one he loves, and he tells him, he says, listen, this bread here, this is my body that is broken for you. Take and eat the bread. And then he takes the cup. And he says, this here, this is my blood shed, or if I can say, poured out for you. Take the cup. I'm going to ask that you would stand with us if you're here in-house. If you're online, if you would just bow your heads for a moment. And I'm going to pray over us. And then afterwards, we're going to respond together in song. Would you pray with me? God, thank you. Thank you for showing us what it looks like to live this poured out life. Knowing that there would some that would take the gift and just pour it out themselves. Christ, you model for us what it looks like to do the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons. And as we took communion today together, we were reminded of what that love can look like in our own lives. So we respond in kind, building our life around yours, participating in this Jesus way of life. Knowing that there will be times that we don't like the reactions and that we don't like the results. But we don't grow weary because we are worshiping you in our actions and our thoughts and our words. Doing the right things, the right way, for the right reasons. In your name we pray. Amen. Would you sing with us?